Okay, welcome to class number 17 of our basic electronics course. So we have been discussing about the common base configuration of a BJT. Now there is another configuration which is known as the common emitter configuration. Okay, so let us revise a bit of the common base configuration. So if we draw the circuit, this would be our common base configuration. So this is basically our common base configuration of this transistor, where this is our emitter. Let me write it here. This is the emitter terminal, this is the base terminal, and this is the collector terminal. The base terminal is grounded, and the base is common here because the base is connected to the emitter via this resistor RE, and the base is also connected to the collector via this resistor RC. Okay, and here the input current is the emitter current. So input current is basically the emitter current, and the output current is basically the collector current, and the ratio alpha equal to IC by IE is basically a parameter of importance, and we call this as the common base current gain. Okay, so you might ask the question that what is the input current actually, or how to define the input current. So input current is basically the current which the input voltage source Vi is actually providing. Okay, the current that Vi is providing is actually IE, which is basically the emitter current that flows through here, and IE actually gets distributed into the base as IB and the collector IC. Okay, so IE basically gets distributed into the base as the base current IB, and it gets also distributed into the collector as the collector current IC. So the input voltage source, which is this voltage source, is providing the input current, which is the emitter current in this case. So input current is basically the current which the input voltage source is actually providing. Okay, similarly, output current is the current which actually passes through the output voltage source. I would not say output voltage source, but output current is basically the current that this voltage V0 actually provides. Okay, so the current IC basically passes through this voltage source V0. So this is the output current basically in this case. And alpha equal to IC divided by IE is the common base current gain, and this is the parameter of importance in this case. Contrary to this configuration, we have the common emitter configuration, which is also another configuration actually. So let us see what the common emitter configuration actually is. So common emitter configuration. So here the emitter is actually common to both the base and the collector, or the emitter is connected to the base with the help of a resistor, and the collector is also connected to the emitter with the help of a resistor and the voltage source. So emitter is common to both the base and the collector. Okay, so let us draw the configuration here. The emitter is actually grounded, and it is connected to the base via a voltage source and and a resistor. And this emitter is also connected to the collector via a voltage source and a resistor. So there is this collector here, RC V0. Okay, and the emitter is grounded. So the emitter is connected to both the base and the collector with the help of a voltage source and a resistor. And here again, this is the input voltage source Vi, and this is the voltage source that is connected to the output V0, and input current is basically the current that the input voltage source basically provides. So what is the current that the input voltage source Vi is providing? It is basically the base current IB. Okay, a current IB is flowing into the base. So here the voltage source Vi is providing with the base current. So the input current is basically the base current. The voltage source V0 on the other hand is providing the collector current. So here the output current is basically the collector current. So here again, the ratio of the output current to the input current is a parameter of importance. So IC divided by IB is basically a parameter of importance here, and we call this the common emitter current gain. And this beta here is actually the same beta that we have actually used the previous day. Let me show you the equations. So these are the two equations in which we had used beta the previous day or in the previous class, and there is beta plus 1 here, and there is beta divided by beta plus 1 here also. Okay, so let me show you from where these equations actually come. So we know that alpha is equal to IC by IE, and beta is equal to IB divided by IC divided by IB. Now this parameter alpha and beta are basically properties of the transistor itself. It doesn't depend whether the transistor is actually biased in common base configuration or whether the transistor is biased in common emitter configuration, but alpha and beta are the properties of the transistor itself. Okay, so I mean alpha is the parameter of importance in the common base configuration, and beta is the parameter of importance in the common emitter configuration. So these parameters are important in two different configurations, but these are basically the properties of the transistor. So it doesn't actually matter whether we bias our transistor in the common base configuration or in the common emitter configuration. Okay, but these two are basically the properties of the transistor. So no matter in which configuration the transistor is biased in, or in which transistor we, or in which configuration we are using our transistor, this alpha and beta are basically fixed for a given transistor, and we know that IE is equal to IC plus IB, and from these three relations we can actually derive a relation between alpha and beta. Okay, so beta is basically IC divided by IB. So let me write it here. I divide both the sides by IC. So IE divided by IC, this is equal to 1 plus IB divided by IC. Okay, I divide both the sides of this equation, equation number 3, by IC. Okay, now IE by IC is equal to 1 by alpha from this equation. So 1 by alpha equals to 1 plus IB by IC is equal to 1 by beta from this equation. So 1 by beta. Okay, so 1 by beta is equal to 1 minus alpha divided by alpha, which basically implies that beta is equal to alpha divided by 1 minus alpha. Okay, we can also express alpha in terms of beta actually. So if we actually rearrange the terms in this equation, we will find that alpha is equal to beta divided by 1 plus beta. Okay, so these are the two relations, or this is actually one relation written in two different forms basically. So we see that this beta divided by 1 plus beta, this component in the previous day's equation, that is this equation here, is actually or originally alpha. Okay, we have just derived right now that beta divided by 1 plus beta is alpha. So this term here, beta divided by beta plus 1, in the equation that we wrote in the class the previous day, is actually alpha, and we already know that IC is equal to alpha times IE, and IE is basically this quantity, again from our previous day's equation, this equation over here. So what we are writing here in this equation, is actually IC equal to alpha times IE. So this part is actually IE. Okay, so we have actually written IC equal to alpha times IE, but in a different way actually. And then we have also written this second equation, IB equals to IS divided by beta plus 1, and then this exponential VBE by VT, and this quantity is actually IE. So IB is equal to IE divided by beta plus 1. So let us see if we can derive this equation, that IB is actually equal to IE divided by beta plus 1, which is basically the second equation over here. Okay, let us see if we can derive this equation from today's discussion. This IB equal to IE divided by beta plus 1. So we know that IE is basically equals to IC plus IB, and IC is beta times IB. This we have already written in this equation over here, that IC is equal to beta times IB, okay, plus IB here. So beta plus 1 IB is equal to IE, and so IB is equal to IE divided by beta plus 1. Okay, so we have the following equations here, that IC equals to alpha IE, and IC is also equal to beta times IB, and alpha and beta are actually related, just as we saw. IB is equal to IE divided by beta plus 1. Alpha equals to beta divided by 1 plus beta, and again this equation can be written in another way, just as we discussed, that beta is equal to alpha divided by 1 minus alpha. Okay, and so we also stated the last day that for a good transistor, alpha is actually, for a good transistor, alpha should be greater than 0.99. So this actually means that beta is actually greater than 99 for a good transistor. We can actually derive the second equation from the first one, that if alpha is greater than 0.99, then beta must be greater than 99. Or we can also derive this equation from the upper equation from the lower one, not equation but inequality. We can also derive the upper inequality from the lower one, that if beta is greater than 99, then alpha must be greater than 0.99. Okay, so these are the equations that we will be needing in our discussions, or in when we want to solve problems. Okay, now returning back to our previous day's discussion, we also noted another equation, that since the base to emitter junction is actually a forward bias diode, the emitter current IE is approximately equal to IS, where IS is the reverse saturation current of the base to emitter diode, exponential VBE divided by VT. Okay, and VBE is basically the base to emitter voltage, which is also equal to the cut-in voltage, or approximately equal to the cut-in voltage of the base to emitter diode once the base to emitter junction is actually forward biased. So if the transistor is operating in the forward active mode, that is, if the base to emitter junction is in a conducting state, if the base to emitter junction is in a conducting state, then VBE is approximately equal to VBE on, which is equal to V gamma. Okay, VBE on is basically the cut-in voltage of the base to emitter junction diode, or the base to emitter diode. Okay, now this equation, that the emitter current varies exponentially with the base to emitter voltage, this equation is valid, or this equation comes into picture because the base to emitter junction is basically a diode. Okay, and this equation is valid irrespective of the regime in which the transistor is operating. So let me write it here. If the base to emitter junction is actually forward biased, then irrespective of whether the collector to base junction is forward biased or reverse biased, this equation that IE is approximately equal to IS exponential VBE by VT, this equation is valid. So if VBE is greater than 0, then this equation is valid irrespective of the biasing condition of the collector to base junction. Okay. However, these three equations that I have written here, these three equations are only valid in the forward active mode. Okay, it doesn't matter whether I have the common base configuration or the common emitter configuration. It doesn't matter in which configuration I am using my transistor, but these three equations are only valid in the forward active mode. So let me write it here. These three equations are only valid in the forward active mode. Okay. Now this common emitter configuration is the configuration which is mostly used in circuits actually. And the reason behind this is that in common base configuration, the emitter current is actually the input current. But in the common emitter configuration, the base current is actually the input current. And we actually know that the base current is much lower than the emitter current. Okay, because for a good transistor, actually 99% or more than 99% of the emitter current goes to as the collector current. Only less than 1% of the emitter current is actually the base current. Okay, so normally we use the transistor for amplification, where the signal to be amplified is actually a very weak signal. For example, let us say the signal that your mobile phone is receiving, or the signal that your DTH connection at your home is receiving. So these signals are generally electromagnetic signals that come from the air, and these are generally very weak signals. Okay, so the input signals in these cases, like the incoming signal of your mobile phone, doesn't have that capacity to generate a large amount of current. Okay, and that is why, because the requirement of the base in terms of current is much lower than that of the emitter current, or the base current is much lower than the emitter current, the common emitter configuration is used most often for applications in amplification. Okay, so let me write it here. So the common emitter configuration is mostly used in electronic circuits. This is because the emitter current is actually much higher than the base current. For the common base configuration, emitter current is the input current. So the common base configuration requires a large input current. In amplifiers, the signals to be amplified generally cannot generate a large current. So the common emitter configuration is mostly used. So the transistor of actually can function as an amplifier. We will see how, but right now just know that the transistor can actually function as an amplifier, and one of the main use of transistors is actually amplification. Okay, so the common emitter configuration is mostly used because here the input current is the base current, which is generally very low. And in case of very good transistors, actually less than 0.1% of the emitter current actually goes into the base current. So beta in those cases is actually of the order of 1000 or 10,000. Okay, so in transistors, a value of beta of the order of 10,000 is not uncommon actually. Okay, so they are less than 0.01% of the total emitter current actually goes into the base current. So the base current can be really low. Okay, or transistors can be manufactured to give a very low values of base current. Okay, so since the input signals that comes from the air and that needs to be amplified are generally weak signals and they cannot generate a large current, so the common emitter configuration is generally used because in this configuration the base current is the input current which the signal that needs to be amplified would be supplying, and because the base current is much lower compared to the emitter current or compared to the collector current, this configuration is mainly used. Okay, so let us now see the characteristics of the common emitter amplifier. So when we see or when we say common emitter characteristics, it mainly means that we want to understand how this how this output current is varying with the collector voltage. Now here, because the emitter is grounded, the collector voltage is the same as the collector to emitter voltage. In the common base configuration, collector voltage was the same as the collector to base voltage because the base was grounded. In the common emitter configuration, the collector voltage is the same as the collector to emitter voltage because the emitter is grounded in this case. Okay, so the collector voltage is basically the collector to emitter voltage, so VCE. Okay, and we want to understand how the output current, which is the collector current in this case, varies with the collector voltage. Okay, so typically, as I said, that we do not want the collector current to actually vary with the collector to emitter voltage or the collector voltage. We only want the collector current to be controlled by the base to emitter voltage or the base current, which is the input current in this case, but we do not want the collector current to vary with the collector to emitter voltage. We want the collector current to vary with the base to emitter voltage. So we plot this here. When VCE is sufficiently high, the collector to base junction is actually reverse biased, because VBE cannot be much greater than V gamma, or the approximate value of VBE is V gamma, and VCE is basically equal to VBE plus VBC. Now this one, if the transistor is operating in the forward active mode, or if the base to emitter junction of a transistor is in the conducting state, then the approximate value of VBE is V gamma. So approximately equal to V gamma, this one. Okay. So this is approximately equal to V gamma plus VBC. So let me actually write it afresh. This is approximately equal to V gamma plus VBC if the transistor is in forward active mode. Okay. So in forward active mode. So FA means forward active. Okay. So for sufficiently large values of VCE, this VBC actually has a sorry, this would be VCE, CB actually. VBE plus VCB. So for sufficiently high values of VCE, VCB is actually positive, which means that the collector to base junction is actually reverse biased. Okay, so if the collector to base junction is actually reverse biased, this means that the transistor is operating in the forward active mode, provided that the base to emitter junction is in a conducting state. So provided that the base to emitter junction is in a conducting state, for sufficiently large values of VCE, VCB is positive, and so the base to collector junction is actually reverse bias. So the transistor would operate in forward active mode and the collector current would not vary with VCE. So the collector, let me draw with a different color actually. So the collector current is constant with VCE. Okay. So this is equal to, this is for a given base current IB1, and as we know that the collector current is dependent on the base current via this factor beta, so this is beta times IB1. Then for another value IB2, this is beta times IB2 here. Then this is beta times IB3 here. Okay, so for sufficiently large values of VCE, the collector current does not vary with variation in the collector to emitter voltage. This is because the transistor or the base to collector junction of the transistor is properly reverse biased, and if it is properly reverse biased, this means that the transistor is operating in the forward active mode, provided that the base to emitter junction is in a conducting state, and in the forward active mode the collector current does not vary with the collector voltage. Now as VCE gradually becomes lower than a certain value, the base to collector junction actually comes out of the reverse bias state, or the electric field at the base to collector junction becomes weaker, and so the transistor actually comes out of the forward active mode and this current becomes gradually zero, the collector current. Okay, so similarly for all the curves here actually. Okay, so this is basically our common emitter characteristics, or how the collector current basically varies with the collector to emitter voltage, and the regime in which this collector current is more or less constant with the collector to emitter voltage, This regime is basically known as the forward active mode, just as we discussed earlier that in this regime the base to emitter junction is in a conducting state and the collector to base junction is reverse biased. Okay, so to the right of this dashed line we have this forward active mode here, and to the left of this line we have the saturation regime. So just as we stated earlier, the saturation regime is basically the regime where the base to collector junction is not properly reverse biased. The electric field at the base to collector junction is weak, but the base to emitter junction is in a conducting state. So that is basically the saturation regime. Okay, so this regime is basically the saturation regime here. Okay, and generally this voltage beyond which the transistor enters from forward active mode to the saturation regime, this voltage is generally denoted by this letter or VCE comma sat. Sat means basically saturation. Okay, so this voltage beyond which the transistor basically enters into saturation regime from the forward active mode, this voltage is basically known as VCE sat. Okay, and for silicon transistor this voltage is generally of the order of 0.2 to 0.4 volts. Okay, so this voltage is approximately of the order of 0.2 to 0.4 volts. Normally when we would do problems we would assume that VCE sat is basically approximately equal to 0.2 volts. This is the normal assumptions that we would make, but we can actually fabricate transistors by different methods to actually get a higher value of VCE sat. Okay, so let me document it here. In the forward active mode, the collector current does not depend on VCE or VBE. The collector current in this case only depends on the base to emitter voltage or the emitter current or the base current. Okay, and in this case the minimum value of VCE, the minimum value of VCE for which the transistor is in forward active mode is denoted by VCE sat. Generally, VCE sat lies in the range of 0.2 volts to 0.4 volts, but we would mostly assume that VCE sat is equal to 0.2 volts. Okay. Now let us go into the equivalent DC model of a transistor. So equivalent DC models. Now before we go into the equivalent DC models, let me just state one thing here, that this is the symbol of a current source, and this we have discussed earlier, and this symbol basically means that no matter what is the voltage between these terminals A and B, the current I0 would always flow between A and B. Okay, so that is why it is known as a constant current source. So a constant voltage source basically provides you with a specific constant voltage irrespective of current flow through the voltage source. In a similar way, a constant current source basically provides you with a constant current irrespective of the voltage difference between the terminals of the current source. Okay, now this is a constant current source and it gives a current I0 irrespective of the potential difference between the points A and B. If I draw a symbol like this, so this is basically an independent current source. Okay, this is a symbol for an independent current source. Independent current source basically means that the current between the two terminals A and B is always constant and independent of any other parameters in your circuit. Okay. This, on the other hand, if I draw a symbol like this, this is also a current source, but this is a dependent current source. So the current I through this current source is basically a function of other parameters in the system, or another parameter in the system, or it may be a function of multiple parameters in the system. So it is a function of other parameters of the system. Okay, for example, the current through this dependent current source may actually depend on some other current. Okay, so here we will be discussing the equivalent DC models for a PNP and NPN transistor. So let me draw a circuit here. So we have this BJT here in the common emitter configuration. So the emitter is basically grounded, and this is an NPN transistor actually. So I write it here, NPN. So a voltage source VB is basically provided here, and a voltage VC is actually provided here. So these are basically batteries, but I am not connecting the complete circuit to avoid clumsiness. Okay, so now this terminal is basically our emitter terminal, which I write it as E. This terminal is the collector terminal, and this terminal is basically the base terminal. So a transistor has three terminals. One is the base, one is the collector, and another is the emitter. So we have three terminals for a transistor. One is the base, another one is the collector, and then we have the emitter. So three terminals of a transistor. So we know that between the base and the emitter, from the base to the emitter, the base current is basically flowing. Okay, and we know that the base to emitter junction is basically a diode. Okay, of course, in the if the transistor is working properly, or if the transistor is operating in the forward active mode, the base to emitter junction is mainly a diode. So we put a diode here, and here into the base a current of magnitude IB is flowing. Okay, now the collector to emitter junction may be represented by a dependent current source, and we know that the collector current basically depends on the base current through the relation IC equals to beta IB. Okay, so the magnitude of this current that flows through the collector or that flows into the collector is basically beta times IB, and this is the emitter port or the emitter point, and out of the emitter current flows out, and the magnitude of the emitter current, just as I stated, is the base current plus the collector current, IE equals to IC plus IB. And if you actually apply Kirchhoff's current law in this terminal over here, it also gives us that the emitter current should be equal to the base current plus the collector current. Okay, so here a magnitude or current magnitude of beta plus 1 times IB actually flows. Okay, it is flowing out because this is the NPN transistor and the emitter terminal is grounded. So the base is actually connected to this voltage source VB through the resistor RB. So between the base and this voltage source VB, so this is the voltage source VB and the resistor RB is present here. So RB, and between the collector and the voltage source VC, the resistor RC is present. So let us call it RC, this resistor. Okay, so between the collector and this voltage source VC, this resistor RC is actually present. So this is our voltage source VC, which is connected to the collector through this resistor RC. So this is the equivalent model of this entire circuit. Now if we talk about the equivalent DC model of the transistor, only this portion which is inside this red closed loop is basically the equivalent DC model of the transistor. Okay, the resistors RB and RC are basically external to the transistor. So these resistors RB and RC and these voltage sources VC and VB, these are not internal things of the transistor. These these voltage sources and these resistances are basically external to the transistor. So the part covered within this, or this part enclosed within this red loop, is actually the equivalent DC model of the transistor. Okay, in a similar way, we can also have the equivalent DC model of a PNP transistor. So let us actually draw a circuit of a PNP transistor. So equivalent DC model of a PNP transistor. Okay, so let us first draw a circuit diagram with a PNP transistor. So this is our transistor. And as we know that in a PNP transistor, the current actually flows into the emitter. Okay, so IE is actually directed in this direction. This is the emitter, which is P type. This is the base, which is basically N type, and this is the collector, which is again P type. Okay, so the base should be connected to a negative voltage source because the current should actually flow into the emitter and flow out of the base. Okay, so to forward bias the base to emitter junction, the base should actually be connected to a negative voltage source. So it is connected to a negative voltage source to this resistor RB here, and this is minus VB. And again, the collector should also be actually connected to a negative voltage source here, because the transistor is PNP. So it is connected to the voltage source minus VC through this resistor RC. Okay. So to reverse bias the collector to base junction, the collector should be connected to a negative voltage source. Okay. Now, so this transistor also has three terminals. One is the base, another is the collector, and the third one is the emitter. So we have three terminals. One is the base, another is the collector, and the third one is the emitter. And just as before, the base to emitter junction is actually a forward bias diode. So we draw a diode here. And a current IB actually flows out of the base. So write IB here. And then the collector current is actually dependent on the base current or the emitter current. Okay, in the common emitter configuration, we write because the base current is the input parameter, the collector current is dependent on the base current. So this relation IC equals to beta times IB. This we have already learned. So this collector to emitter terminal can actually be represented as a dependent current source. Okay, so this is basically a dependent current. We have a dependent current source here, and here the current is actually flowing out of the collector. Okay, because the transistor is PNP. In an NPN transistor, the current flows into the collector. For a PNP transistor, the current directions actually reverses itself, so the current actually flows out of the collector. So the direction is reversed. So this is beta times IB here. This is our collector terminal. And then the emitter current, just as we stated, is basically the sum of the base current and the collector current. So this is the emitter current is basically the sum of the base current and the collector current. So this is equal to beta plus 1 IB. Okay, and this terminal is grounded. Now between the base and the voltage source minus VB, the resistor RB is present, or the base is actually connected to the voltage source minus VB through this resistor RB here. So RB here, and then the collector is also connected to the voltage source minus VC through the resistor RC. So RC here. Okay. So again, just as before, this much is basically the equivalent DC model of the transistor itself. Okay, so this is the equivalent DC model of the PNP transistor, and all the other things such as the resistance RB, RC and the voltage source minus VB and minus VC are basically external to this transistor. Okay, so this is the equivalent model for a PNP transistor, equivalent DC model for a PNP transistor actually. Okay, so let us do up to here today. The next day we will do some problems. Thank you all.